you have these narrations in Judaism, it is forbidden to call God by his true name. You find that in the narrations of Muhammad and the family of Muhammad, that it is forbidden to name the 12th Imam by his name, just in the same way as YHWH in Judaism, the same thing here. Mim, M, Ha, H, Mim, M, Dad, D. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الإمام والمهديين وسلم تسليما. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear sister Tiffany.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for having me back today.
Well, thank you for being back. So today we want to talk about a really important topic, and that is the topic of the secret name/names of God. Okay? So we have this kind of theme that pops up in religion. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Less so in Christianity, more so in Judaism and in Shia Islam. Not even so much Sunni Islam, although it does appear a little bit.
Okay.
And this is this concept that there are these secret names or a secret name of God that, if pronounced, can bestow superpowers upon the individual. So the idea that that was written about it was that when God met Moses at the burning bush, Moses, he goes there, he hears God's voice. It's this voice that's coming from 360 degrees. He looks, he sees that there's this burning bush in front of him. It's fire, but it's not like normal fire. The bush itself is not burning, but there's this fire that's on it, And so he asks, God at the end of the conversation, so he gets all these commandments from him. He gets all of these, all this information, he gets all this direction from him. And at the very end, Moses says to God, okay, well, when the Israelites ask me, when I go back to them and I say that, like, you have to do this and you got to do this and this is the plan and these are the commandments, when they ask me, who sent you? What should I say? Which is crazy, because it's either one of two things. Either Moses at that point knows who sent him, and he just knows that it's a secret, and so therefore he's asking God for what name he would like to be called by in public, Mm-hmm. Or at that point, Moses doesn't even know who he's talking to, and he doesn't even know who's sending him. Yeah. And then the response comes back, to Moses that, tell them, I am that I am sent me. Yeah. I am that I am. And then after that, the idea became that God did not want to tell them his name directly, but it was more like a response whereby he's just telling them, that it is what it is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. Don't worry about it. Yeah. I am, all that you think that I am. I am the God of gods. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Instead of telling him that, like, my name is Jack, or my name is John, or my name is Joshua, right? Yeah. But then later on in the Bible, we see that there are some people who actually come to learn and know that God does have this name. But it's a sacred name that nobody else is allowed to know except for the priests, that is, the head priest that is dealing with the Ark of the Covenant, that is the hujjah of the time, so to speak, or the person who is communicating, who's left in charge to communicate between God and between the people.
Yeah.
And even in writing in the Hebrew Bible, it became impermissible to write the name of God. And so how did they write it?
The 4 letters.
Yeah.
Yeah. YHWH. That's how we have it in, that's how we translate it into English, but obviously it was in the ancient Hebrew language.
Yeah. So then God became referred to in 2 ways. One, he was referred to as Hashem, which means the name.
Yeah.
You know, so whenever they'd want to refer to like God, instead of saying, you know, it would be like for Christians, instead of saying Jesus, all right, because they consider Jesus to be God, it would be impermissible. It's too much to call him Jesus. So instead of calling him Jesus, you know, the people that did not yet know him, you know, to that level, they could only refer to him as the name, you know,
yeah, okay.
when talking about him. So
Okay.
they wouldn't say Jesus went and did or said such and such. They would say the name went and said such and such.
Okay.
It would almost be like the word Allah for Muslims is forbidden for anybody to name, you know, or to say, but rather you would have to refer to it as al-ism.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. And then there is a clue, though, that there are these 4 letters, because at other points he's referred to as these 4 letters, which is the YHWH, with all vowels removed from the name itself. And it's unclear if there are other, you know, letters besides the vowels that were moved. But the idea is that if you take any word and you remove from it the vowels, it becomes unknown how it is that you would pronounce it.
Yeah. You can't pronounce YHWH.
No,
so,
you can't.
Yeah.
And there becomes like a multitude of ways that you could pronounce it.
Yeah.
You know, so you could pronounce it Yahweh or Yehu, or you could pronounce it Jehovah, or so there's becomes all of these different ways of being able to pronounce the name. So essentially the name is safeguarded and it's lost.
Yeah.
There are these traditions that mention that the rabbis wrote and said that the name was once known, and it was 12 letters, and the people that weren't deserving, they all knew the name, and when they knew the name, they realized that the truth or the reality was not as they thought. And so instead of adjusting their thinking to what it really is, what they did is they corrupted the meaning and twisted the truth instead. And for that reason, that's part of the reason why the name was taken from them once again, and they were not allowed to, or it was lost and they were not allowed to speak it openly.
Wow. That's very interesting.
Yeah. So from that, we come to the conclusion that there's a heavy reality or understanding that comes along with knowing this name. We know that in both Judaism and Islam, Adam, he knew this name. There were a few prophets and messengers that did know the name, and there were many prophets and messengers that only knew parts of the name,
Okay.
you know, or certain letters from the name. In the Quran, when it says, and God taught Adam all of the names, this is an indication that Adam clearly knew also the name of God, because it is an unlimited statement. You know, there's no exceptions to it when it says all of the names. So it's all of the names of the things in addition to the name of God. And the assumption is that because he knew the true name of God, that he gained authority and power over the angels and all other living beings.
Wow. yeah, I mean,